Hi, Flow Voice. I'm Chesney Snow. I was just playing Boxman on Broadway and in transit. Boxman. And now I'm back with my new show, The Unwritten Law. What inspired me to do The Unwritten Law was being a father. After Trayvon Martin uh, was 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 killed, was murdered, there was this real sense of vulnerability that this kind of vigilantism was so rampant that your son or your father or someone can just be snuffed out. It's not like it began with Trayvon. I mean, you can go, I mean, every other month someone being killed, but it just really started to come home to me that, my son was the exact same age. I really wanted to create something. I didn't know what. Looking at my admiration for artists past, artists like, Nina Simone and Mr. Belafonte and these artists, I wanted to be a part of that tradition. And theater and beatboxing and poetry is the medium that speaks to me. And I knew that I wanted movement to be a part of it. Because I had always fell in love with this word choreo poem. I really felt connected to this form of storytelling. I think the primary spark to actually make me feel like I could do it was meeting my co-creator. When I began to speak to Rebecca Ahrens, and because of the background that she has, and she went to University of Wisconsin-Madison. University of Wisconsin-Madison is the premier African American studies program in the country, premier. She really began to help me to contextualize my story. And it wasn't easy because obviously anytime, you're gonna have people in your family that are gonna be like, oh, you're exposing wounds. Part of this was to explore that, really use poetry and drama and modern dance with live music and lights and projections and the whole magic of the theater to tell a story that I think people will not necessarily expect. You have to tell your story. As Harry Belafonte's documentary says, sing your song. The unwritten law is not geared to be entertainment. The unwritten law is an exploration of sociological exploration that has moments of entertainment. With In Transit, it is totally different. Totally different. I'm playing a character who is a subway musician, and really my approach to that character was more about listening to all the sounds of New York City. My preparation for the original audition of In Transit was I would sit in Union Square, and I would sit there for about 2 or 3 hours, and I would close my eyes, and I would just sit there and I would listen. And I would listen, and I would listen to each sound, and I start picking out sounds. The sound of a bus stopping, the sound of footsteps walking, the sounds of car horns moving, the sounds of cars moving, the sounds of, chatter of multiple people at the same time, and trying to pick out all these different things. And I would try to create this cacophony of sounds. And then I would loop those sounds on a little loop station. So then I could kind of create a city soundscape, that resembled what I studied and what I listened to. I would go and I would observe other street performers, people who would get on the train, and I would look at their mannerisms, how they interacted with people, and more specifically, how people reacted to them. The a cappella was the metaphor for living in New York City, and that we're all singing backup for each other. And Boxman's role in that was about showing people that they could hear the music around them if they just listened. for me and the artists that I really enjoy as beatboxers are those that incorporate the craft into an overall picture. For me, beatboxing is a part of it when it's a part of telling this larger story that people will be able to emotionally connect to year after year after year after year. One of the kind of misconceptions I feel about beatboxing is that it's it's an art form that is an imitation of music, and it's not. What I've sought to do with incorporating beatboxing is maybe considered minimal, but it's me telling the story of who I am. And who I am is a beatboxer.